Today's session is called the Black Friday Playbook, how Fabletics use TV ads to drive sales and lower CAC, or consumer acquisition cost, if we spell it out. Just to do some quick intros, my name is Sam Joachim. I'm a Director of Client Services at Tatari.
And I'm Juhi Pikale, VP Performance Marketing at Fabletics.
Great. And now to do some quick overviews of our companies. So Tatari is an ad tech platform created for outcome-driven marketers. We're focused on the measurement and buying of TV media. So pretty much creating a digital-like experience for the likes of television advertising. So should feel very familiar to you if you're comfortable in digital marketing platforms like Facebook, Google Ads, and so forth. Just to kind of talk through some of our clients, you may be familiar with a lot of these logos behind me. A lot of these advertisers, sit in a wide range of different spectrums, both big and small, some new to TV, some legacy TV advertisers. Many of you are in this room today, so thank you so much for your partnership and for working with us today. And now to Fabletics.
Thank you, Sam. So Fabletics is the largest digitally native activewear brand in the world. So we were founded in 2013. We have over 2 million VIP members. We surpassed 500 million in annual revenue in 2021. We actually have a partnership with Kevin Hart on our men's line, which we launched in April 2020. And most recently, we partnered with Lizzo to launch a shapewear line named Yeti in April this year. And actually, we also went omni-channel, and we have close to 80 stores in the US now.
That's amazing. You guys are clearly doing some awesome stuff. So yeah, let's jump into it. We've got our intros out of the way. We'll talk through just kind of how Fabletics got started on TV and getting started.
Yeah, so the question always comes up like, why test TV? And for us, it was important for these reasons. The digital costs are rising like crazy. I think most of you can relate to this, especially post iOS 14.5, which brings us to the uncertainties from iOS 14.5. So after that actually hit even last year, there was actually, even more pressure to diversify the media mix, and TV with its high reach and actually amazing prices like $3 CPMs on TV, like unbeatable. Like if none of you take it, I'm gonna take it all day.
Yeah.
So it's obviously an important channel. We have the ability to find new audiences as well, just because of the amount of reach you can get, and also building brand trust. So I think this is important because you can have social media ads all day long, but like an ad on TV helps build credibility and legitimizes the brand. So those are some of the reasons.
Absolutely, those are really valid reasons. Just kind of jumping into it, we'll talk through some misconceptions.
Yeah, so honestly, there is a lot of misconceptions, I think, which is why people don't get into TV. And to be honest with you, like even when we were doing an RFP process, like a lot of these things came up from our CEO, internal teams, all those kind of things. The first one being TV advertising is expensive to get into.
Yeah, it does feel quite daunting to enter the TV space, but it really isn't the case. What we would recommend at Tatari is typically, start at a threshold of $50K per week. For some organizations in the room, this may feel like just a small sliver of your budget, and for some, this may be a pretty large expense. What I would say is that we can be very nimble depending on the budget that you'd like to push forth. But typically, we'd want to start at a threshold of $50K per week, just so that you can gather, enough significance and be able to kind of optimize past a test and learn phase. We'll touch upon that in a few minutes.
Yeah, I think the second one, is just that to do TV, you have to get into expensive upfront commitments, which is definitely not the case anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone in this room has some familiarity with TV may recognize that upfronts are the cream of the crop inventory. And while Tatari absolutely participates in the upfront markets, I mean, in the last 2 years, we've had clients participate in the Super Bowl, so the most cream of the crop, a North Star type of asset. It really doesn't have to be the case. You can be very smart and agile with your TV buys. We participate in the remnant markets, meaning that we're bidding below rate card. So the price you see is actually not the price you get. You're gonna bid on those rates at a percentage below, and it allows you to be really nimble with your budgets and really agile with your program. So it can really lead to a lot of efficiency.
Yeah, so even if you're like a smaller player or DTC, you can definitely get into it because at the end of the day, you're still going to get those $3 CPMs.
Yeah, incredible rates for sure. I was shocked myself, as I learned more about the TV world.
I think the next one is the inability to optimize. Actually, this is something I liked about Tatari when you guys were pitching us, is like, we asked you who your main competitors, and you didn't say another TV agency. You said Facebook and Google.
For sure. that's definitely the case. We recognize that a lot of you are participating in the digital markets, and it makes sense, right? There's tons of opportunity to isolate efficiencies and find your audience. But we've really created an experience that's very digital-like in terms of the TV buying experience. With our performance platform, we're able to provide you metrics that really mirror digital experiences, efficiency style metrics, return on ad spend, cost per visit, CAC, that we mentioned on the opening slide. We've moved away from the traditional GRP that kind of doesn't really tell you a lot. So we've unpacked that, and per our methodology, we're able to really mirror your digital experience.
Yeah, and this one actually I hear all the time. Even our own CEO asks this. People think linear is completely dead, and they think it's only old people watching. What do you think about that?
There are some trends that speak to linear decreasing slightly, but ultimately, linear is very much alive. There are still over 100 million households that are participating in the linear markets. Streaming is definitely increasing as more audiences want to view their content in a more on-demand manner. But the purchasing power of linear viewers is high, and it remains high. So, and you have to remember, sports content, big moments like award shows, this all happens on the linear space, and turns into that water cooler talk that we hope to return to, now that the pandemic is starting to subside. So, absolutely, linear is very much alive. It's a huge part of all of our clients' programs.
Yeah, so slowly dying out into streaming, but still a sizable market.
Yeah, absolutely. We would just make sure that it's incremental to your linear buy for sure. So, we've talked through some of the misconceptions and some of the hesitations you may have upon entering, kind of the TV landscape. Juhi, tell us about, how you ultimately launched with Tatari in your pilot.
Yeah, sure thing. So we actually did our pilot last September through October, so it ran for about 6 weeks. And we allocated about $500,000 over the course of 6 weeks. The reason why we decided on that is because we wanted to gather as many learnings as possible from a network and creative perspective before Black Friday, because that's our Super Bowl, right, in the DTC world. So we were able to actually run on over 40 different publishers, different genres and all those kind of things across linear and streaming. And the goals of the campaign really were to diversify media beyond paid social. And our main KPI is always driving new memberships. So that was how we were measuring the campaign. We wanted to obtain learnings and maintain efficiency at the same time. And also gain creative learnings, because we hadn't done linear in a while. We'd been doing streaming for a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a great way to gain some learnings.
Yeah, these were all really incredible inputs in terms of our philosophy, in terms of how we get our clients launched on television. Typically what we do in our test and learn phase is to really cast a wide net and make sure that we're testing for a wide range of different variables that, past the testing phase, we can lean into, with really impactful optimizations. So from a media mix perspective, we made sure to incorporate both linear and streaming with the really healthy budget that Fabletics and Juhi's team was able to kind of move forward with. We tested over 40 networks and publishers, as mentioned. And this allowed us to really lean into a lot of different types of opportunities, both premium and niche, high reach, and also networks that we've, per just historical understanding, efficiency style networks that really will drive returns. We also were looking at timing. Dayparts was a key area of optimization that we test for. Daytime versus prime time, weekday versus weekend, all very different types of behaviors in those different cuts. And finally, from a creative perspective, Fabletics has a really healthy creative approach with creative crafted in-house. So they moved forward with 15 different creative assets, testing out a whole wide range of different variables, different ad lengths, different messaging strategies, different end card strategies. And this allowed us to really isolate what were the key winning recipes in that post-pilot phase. So tell us what we found in the pilot, Juhi.
Yeah, so our pilot, at least for back in September, was for Fabletics women specifically. So not surprised, but we found that female skewing networks like Hallmark worked. We also found holiday specials to work. And what was cool about that is, like a lot of the rates go up in the week of Cyber 5. But what we did is we just just increased investment like in the prior weeks when it was cheaper. So it was like at the top of everyone's mind. So when Cyber 5 actually approached, they went and bought. So that was a cool strategy as well. We also found like Dayparts, like the prime audiences work, the weekend audiences work. So we leaned in.
Amazing. Yeah. Also, how about on the creative front, your strategy?
Yeah, I think network strategy is important, but creative is just as, if not more important. Like creative actually, I think, is the most important thing. So we tested 15 different concepts, and we have the luxury of doing that in a pretty nimble way because we have an in-house team who makes all our creative. So we tried different concepts. We tried different lengths, the 15 seconds and the 30s. We also tried different end card placements to find what was gonna work. And actually, really interestingly as well, you don't have to invest too much money in linear creative. We made some pretty lo-fi ones at a low budget, and those ended up being top performers.
Yeah, it's fascinating. We're really able to test, and one of your testing variables can be just literally production value. It is pretty a fascinating metric to lean into.
Do you guys want to watch one of our ads?
Yeah, I think we should take a look.
The latest Fabletics leggings are here. Get all your favorite fabrics and silhouettes with breathable design details, plenty of pockets, and curves that demand attention. Become a Fabletics VIP today and get 70% off every single thing.
See, this is what I mean. Like, you can make a really simple ad that communicates what your product is, shows the colors, the differentiation, and people will respond to it. It doesn't need to be super complicated.
Yeah, and it was as prominently highlighting the product is very understood that it was a Fabletics piece. So yeah, awesome asset. Going into Black Friday and Cyber Monday, we wanted to also make sure that we were factoring in historical trends that we understood about that time frame. As we're participating in the remnant markets, we are bidding, and bidding is based, by a supply and demand in terms of how you're, factoring your shave rates. It's the rate that we call below rate card. So typically, your clearance is something that you need to account for during this, peak seasonal time frame. On top of that, we also, on the inverse, recognize that conversion rates will increase during that time frame. So there's a lot of competition that you're fighting against, especially in the remnant markets. So understanding as many of those insights earlier from the pilot were so important during that time frame. And obviously, because you had such a wide range of creative, we were able to pick the assets that were more seasonal. So speaking to that time frame is very important for sure. And it ultimately, taking the pilot insights to, just understanding about historical trends, it empowered our playbook. So ultimately what we found was, from a media mix perspective, we really wanted to lean in very heavily into tier 1 networks. These are your big, more familiar cable networks that, the Hallmarks, the Pops, the Bravos. And we knew that reach was a priority, but we were able to reach the masses and still drive efficiency. And we felt confident about that per the pilot. On top of that, we found that prime day parts, along with weekend ad slots, were going to work really well. And we were also able to kind of weave in some other day parts that we knew would drive efficiency. So a really nice mixed strategy from a timing perspective. And then from a creative perspective, we were able to shave 9 of those creative assets down from 15 to 6 winners. And this allowed us to really focus on 2 consistent trends. The deal shown prominently and early in the asset. And then also just leveraging some cultural trends, right? We see QR codes everywhere nowadays. So weaving a QR code into an asset actually worked quite well. And also direct eye contact. It makes you feel like you're speaking directly to your end user. And that tends to work well from a creative perspective. So ultimately, tell us how it performed.
Yeah, so we were actually able to scale up pretty significantly going into November. We implemented all the learnings from the network mix and the creative optimized, perspective. So from the baseline of what the CAC was during the pilot period, our CAC dropped 70%.
It's amazing.
In November, so that's pretty massive. We got 110,000 incremental site visitors, and we always talk about the halo effect and things like that. We did see that pretty notably on branded search. It rose by about 25%.
That's exactly what we strive for past the pilot. So it was really rewarding to see that experience. So yeah, so we've talked about the pilot. We've talked about Black Friday, Cyber Monday promotion. Let's talk about the next chapter as we move into 2022.
Yeah, for sure. So we started advertising, just seeing from the success from the women's line. We started advertising our men's line in January. And the benefit of doing the pilot was, like some of these large networks, they have massive reach. So there's men and women watching. So we were able to take the learnings from the women's pilot and use it for the men's line as well. We started with smaller budgets, which is really nice with Tatari. It's pretty flexible with starting budgets and things like that. We tried different creative elements, and we actually found that 15 seconds worked pretty well for our men's line. So awesome. We leaned into that pretty quickly. Happy to share that we've actually scaled TV for men's by 150% since.
It's amazing.
And we're now even pursuing larger tune-in style airings as well, which you'll see soon.
Yeah. So speaking of those tune-in style airings, talk us through some of the types of examples that you kind of leaned into this year.
Yeah, so I love that, we get these opportunities to present ourselves in these key cultural moments without breaking the bank. Mm-hmm. So for example, the NBA playoff, we had a commercial air during that period, and tons of people are watching it. I personally was very excited about that because I was sitting at a bar and I was watching the game and our commercial aired. And I screamed, "Hey, that's my ad!" And the whole bar screamed with me.
That's amazing. I wish I was there. I would have cheersed with you.
I know, that was awesome. I have a video of this also, by the way. Another cool one actually was we had Court TV in our media mix, and then the DEP trial happened, and you all saw what happened with the DEP trial. It went viral, and so we took full advantage of those eyeballs and showed our ads during that period.
Great timing for sure.
And then the third one is we got an amazing deal to show our ads during the Oscar red carpet. So I think there were 4 commercials aired, but we were able to track a decent spike in site traffic during that time.
Yeah. So let's dig into that a bit. So we did air on the red carpet prior to the actual show. And what we saw was 4 very prominent spikes. And this is a really good example of a brand style airing driving efficiency. Prominent spikes, really great behavior above our baseline that we established for our clients in terms of traffic trends. And just an awesome moment for your organization to get in front of a lot of eyeballs. So cool, we've talked through our pilot process, some misconceptions on TV, the Black Friday, Cyber Monday promotion, and then how this ultimately led into 2022. Juhi, why don't you take us home in terms of your TV experience?
Yeah, definitely. So, we had to have bets outside of paid social, especially post iOS 14. So media diversification was top of mind. So TV is actually an evergreen channel for us now. Massive reach is definitely the second one. So you guys heard, CTV is massive, but linear still has 100 million households, and the prices are amazing. So highly recommend getting in, which also brings us to better rates. I would not expect paid social CPMs to drop anytime soon, especially with inflation. So if you're getting $3, take it. And like you said, if you guys don't take it, we'll take it. The next one is brand trust. Having your ad right up on that big screen and things like that definitely legitimizes it. And the last one is the halo effect. So you can measure this on your increase in site traffic on direct traffic as well as branded searches. So.
Beautiful. Yeah, those are all really great points, and awesome to see that was your experience with us. Just want to say thank you for your time. I know it's really hot in here, so I've been drenched in sweat this entire session, so much appreciated for your time. I just want to just call out 2 things. We published an article with Adweek, an interactive case study that talks through Fabletics and a few other disruptor brands that are finding full funnel success. I'll leave the QR code for as long as I can until they boot us off. But feel free to scan it and take a look at the article. Hopefully you'll find some value there. And secondly, and more excitingly, Juhi and the Fabletics team have been so kind to give us $25 gift cards to Fabletics that you can find by all the food trucks. We have a booth over there. We'd be happy to give you a demo of our self-service platform. Essentially, you can put the TV buying ad experience in your own hands. You can control your TV campaigns, all very exciting but salesy stuff. So take a look over there if you're interested. And yeah, thank you for your time. And Juhi, thank you so much.
Yeah, go get those gift cards before they're gone.
Yeah, please. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.